Welcome to another episode of Real Estate Services and Transactions, otherwise known as REST Publications. My name is Oluwafemi Sanusi, and I'm so delighted to welcome you to another episode. As we know, Real Estate Services and Transactions is a subsidiary of Real's Academy Limited, a real estate training center here in Lagos, Nigeria. In the house, we have ESV Olalekun Aboderin. He is the lead advisor of Olalekun Aboderin Consulting, an estate surveyors and valuers firm. He is also the Director of Studies of Real's Academy Limited, Real Estate Training Center here in Lagos, Nigeria. Thank you for joining us for this episode.
Thank you, Femi. To use your word, viewers, I'm delighted to be here too.
Thank you very much, sir. Yeah, we have a very interesting topic to talk about today. It's something that affects us as professionals, and it's something that also affects the viewers in terms of their expectation. It's about factors that DeMarket Property. Now, as we know that one of the reasons why some of these clients they consult you is for them to, for liquidity purpose.
Are you saying they consult me or they consult us?
They consult us.
So that your fee should be coming to my purse.
They consult us for the purpose of.
Don't forget that just a couple of days ago, you shared something with me. That didn't come from. Okay.
All right. So that was on a lighter note, viewers. Actually, so like I was saying, they consult us to market their properties, for the purpose of liquidity. So on that, I want you to talk about this liquidity of real estate.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, viewers. As Femi said, that's a very good. Today we have a very good topic, talking about the market and factors that can demarket properties. Because really, every investor wants to cash out. Every investor wants to make returns. Yeah. If you want to sell property, you want to sell and sell quick, and you make your money. If you are a mortgagee, a finance institution, and there is need for you to sell the collateral, you want to equally sell and ensure that the money comes back. So also institutional investors, in some cases, want to increase their liquidity. They want to sell their assets. So everybody is concerned about this aspect of illiquidity in real estate. Illiquidity, simply put, that is liquidity is a measure of the ease of converting an asset to cash, to money. The ease of converting assets to money. That is liquidity. So we talk about illiquidity where you talk about how difficult, the difficulties of achieving liquidity. That is illiquidity. So, and this illiquidity actually is peculiar. Real estate has its own peculiarity about illiquidity. But it's not limited to real estate. Across all assets has one degree of illiquidity or the other. What do we mean by this? We are talking about the time it takes for an asset to be in the market and to be converted to money. Right? That is a measure of this illiquidity that we are talking about. It takes longer for real estate because world over, real estate has what we call time on market. Period for which the asset will be introduced into the market. There will be information circle for the asset to be promoted to the knowledge or notice of people that would desire to have it. There will be time for negotiation of terms and conditions. There will be time for due diligences, and final execution of agreements or of transactions. And before you can say, yes, you have concluded a sales. So this time lag is an indication of what we call time on market. And because it's not something you can put in the market and spontaneously turn it to cash. So we say real estate has a degree of illiquidity. But apart from cash, all other assets too has a degree of illiquidity. Different levels. It's only cash that is completely liquid. Right? Even shares has a degree of illiquidity. It's only that is extremely very, very minimal. Right? So this illiquidity particularly in real estate businesses, is more or less like a risk, so to say, because there might be need for immediate cash, and the market is not turning in the cash. So it's a degree of risk, and investors must always pay attention to that. But you see, one will wonder that why will there be liquidity in selling your property? Why does a property suffer as that? Knowing fully well that we say in Nigeria there is deficit in housing. Knowing fully well that land generally is limited in supply, right? And the degree of increase in our population. So that ordinarily should mean that the demand for housing, demand for real estate assets should be very, very keen. Right? Yet, even on that, because of the implication of time on market, is a measure of illiquidity. So we can, even if there will be immediate sales, there will still be time to consummate the deal. So real estate will still have, to suffer that degree of illiquidity. But having said that, it now becomes a risk that must be taken care of where there is challenges of marketability. Because marketability can contribute to illiquidity. Right? So where there is challenges about marketability, then illiquidity will pose serious risk. In fact, it will be leading to what we call void. That will be where there is protracted delay in selling the assets. Then it will distort financial planning. It will have attendant costs, and so on and so forth. In fact, in appraiser, it can eat up the profits. And hitherto profitable project can turn to be no more profitable because of impact of void. And in real estate investing, void is identified as risk. So this marketability, therefore, becomes highly essential if we must minimize illiquidity. If we must limit illiquidity to what should be expected naturally of real estate assets.
Thank you very much, sir. So moving on, based on the points that you've raised, something then comes to my mind that there must be some factors responsible for this DeMarket.
Yeah.
So I'd like you to take those points one after the other.
Okay, that's good. You see, before I go to the points, I think it's important for viewers to know that marketability and demarketability.
Okay, yeah.
Marketability on one side, demarketability on another side. Okay. The first thing is to ensure, why investing in real estate? Ensure marketability. In fact, right from planning, right from conceiving the idea, it's important to have it in mind that this idea, this project idea you want to do, particularly real estate assets, must come from the market. That is marketability. If it is dictated by the market, if it is to fill a gap in the market, identifiable demand gap, then it will be highly marketable. I don't know if I'm making sense. Yes, it will be highly marketable. And that identifiable demand gap requires that we identify what is the quantum of that gap and what is the nature of the gap. You don't just say, there is need for... Let me give you an example. One of our clients some time ago was to develop a landmass, like about 18 point something hectares, in a suburb. Okay. And his concept, his dream was to have something of luxury home in a suburb. Who will go there? So if you identify the gap, you must equally identify the nature of the gap. The concept must come from the market. The market must support the concept. It's what the market needs that must be done. Okay. Not what you feel you want to do. If it's what you feel you want to do, as a matter of fact, you might not be looking at the market. You are looking at yourself. Yeah,
so it's pretty much like a case of assumption.
So it's important that we make sure that the real estate asset is marketable. And that comes from the time we are conceiving the idea. The time, when you say, I have a dream, you want to conceive an idea. Conceiving the idea must be from market analysis. Feedback from the market, what you are able to study, the reality in the market, should be what will lead to the conception of that idea. Let me give you, on a lighter mode, let me just mention one in this regard. You see, in the olden days, when we were growing, picnic, what we knew then was, all these canned picnic. In fact, there is even one that is even double volume. There was that one then. I don't know if it's still in Nigeria market. There is condensed.
Okay.
During our own time, when we were growing up, unfortunately today, we have what we call sachet picnic. Then there was no sachet picnic. Do you know what has led to sachet picnic? A study of Nigeria market.
Okay.
The demand gap in the market.
That's correct.
They don't want to lose that junk share of the market that can no more afford the canned milk. Right? And with this population, they cannot afford it. What could we do? They got to go back to drawing board, look at the school and package what they call the sachet milk. The promo then, they will say, we don't have time. But they will confirm that is exactly what is in the peak milk, canned milk, that is in the sachet milk. And it's just 20 naira. So it fits your purse.
Exactly.
They are targeting certain markets.
Exactly.
So also for real estate, it's not enough to just say, I have my land, this is what I want to do there. Let the market dictate what we do. And part of what the dictation from the market will be that what's the nature of the demand gap? Yeah, I'm talking about pre-qualifying the people, the target market, the people that constitute that target market, and knowing their functional requirement. What they will need.
That's correct.
If you do otherwise, the property will not be marketable.
Exactly. So pretty much you supply what is needed.
What is needed? Thank you. You must know what is required and match it with what you want to supply. That is talking about marketability. Now, beyond this there are a lot of other factors that will affect marketability. But this one I have to emphasize because a lot of investors just invest blindly, without carrying out the idea of market survey. The worst case, they use heuristic approach. My friend did one in Abuja, so I want to do. Sure. And they end up locking up capital. So, but now talking about the marketing factors, it's possible that property could be marketable, but factors could creep in to demarket the property. And it's possible that right from conception, right from design, element that would demarket that product or the real estate asset are already present. So it's important for investors to understand what are the factors that can demarket real estate. Or even people that hold their real estate asset that want to sell. It's important for them to know, okay, so this factor can affect the sales of my property. So what are these factors? The first thing is that location is very important. Yeah. Don't forget, real estate is all about location. Sure. So location is very, very important. It does not mean that there is bad location. No. Maybe when we have time to explain all this, we will dwell further on that. Then apart from location, price is another important one. Overpricing. Because every market has value threshold. That's correct. So, and that equally relates to location. So price is another important one. Then there are other factors that are title-related factors that can demarket the asset, that can demarket the property. Title-related factors. Then beyond that too, issue of authority to deal and transferability is another key factor. I've seen transactions that that was grouped, that was cancelled because of this factor. Transaction at peak. During that time when you could raise draft to do your transaction, draft of about close to 400 million had been raised. And it's, that transaction had to be truncated because of this singular factor of transferability and authority to deal. Again, another important one, which people always forget about and we don't register into our subconscious mind, is what we call design failure. Design failure and obsolescences. Right? If we have time, we'll explain all this. Because to professionals will understand what obsolescence is and how will it contribute. Right? So design failure and obsolescences will contribute to the marketing asset. And you can have construction defects. Construction defect or construction failure.
Okay.
These are equally factors that can, it's part of the factors that can demarket an asset, a real estate, a property. Then, element of incompatibility. If there is element of incompatibility, either within the asset itself, the premises, or outside, in terms of adjoining uses, it can demarket the asset. Stigma. That is market impression, right? Can render marketability of an asset to nullity. So these are some of the factors that contribute to demarketability. Can demarket asset, can make asset to be difficult to sell, can even lead to failed transaction. These are some of them.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm sure. Right now, I'm sure some viewers are wondering, wow, why have I? So this, since my agent has not been able to sell this, these are some of the things that have been happening. That's why I've not been able to sell this. So now, given that, sir, so what can be done?
Okay. What can be done? In some cases, there are measures.
Okay.
But it's not in all cases. Maybe before I go to what can be done, let's take pain to explain a few of these things.
Okay, sir.
For people to understand what we mean. And probably, individual can think of, okay, I have this solution. Why will we equally try from experience to talk about measures, what can be done? In the first instance, talking about location, we have emphasized that. That is getting the right concept in the right location.
Yeah.
Because real estate is all about location, and location. Even the value is all about location, and location. Now, to get the right asset, the right concept for the right location is very, very important. For example, you don't do luxury apartment where you're supposed to do a basic housing.
You know, sir, that reminds me of an example you always give about someone who, no offense to this area now, luxury apartment, I won't mention the name, in Lagos. I remember
Don't mention company name. I want to leave you to that. Let fewer listen to you. You can mention the location. Okay, let's mention the location so that it will not be as if we are running down any location. You have, let's just give one or two attributes, locational attributes, for example. If you have a location that is of thorough route, thorough route means where thorough traffic passes through. Right? A thorough traffic is a traffic that it does not originate from that location, neither is it ending in that location. That is a thorough traffic. Where you have such routes, or in a location where commercial buses pass through, such location can never be for luxury home.
No, absolutely not.
It cannot. Because there is need for serenity.
Exactly.
Sense of security is there.
Exactly.
Right? So, if you now have such location and you are not conceptualizing a luxury home, then one should know that you are doing a very wrong concept.
Exactly.
Another important thing we must understand is that every location has what we call use capacity.
That's correct.
What is known technically to people when you talk about project conceptualization, project delivery, is we talk about bearing capacity of land. The site itself is not the bearing capacity is a technical attribute that has to do with the strength of the site to support what we are proposing to impose on it. But economic attribute is use capacity. Economic attribute, use capacity. If you are talking of the structure you will put on it, the imposed load, the live load, and what have you. Yes, you can talk about bearing capacity. But what you want to impose, can the capacity of that land, can it support economically what you want to do? That is use capacity. And that use capacity will determine the highest and best use of the land. So if you want to make your property marketable, very hot in the market, for people to always rush for it, either in terms of letting or in terms of sales, get professional to assess the use capacity of your land, determine the highest and best use, and recommend the best use. That is very, very important. And that is the measure when it has to do with location. That measure is easier to adopt where you are conceptualizing the project. We are at planning stage, at conception stage. You can redefine your idea, it's easier to adopt. Again, when the building is standing, where there is need for modification. Because one of the good feature of property, of building, is adaptability. A very good design must be adaptable. So where there is room for modification, yes, then you try and see if it can be modified. But I should say, location is always of permanent thing. And that is one of the challenges of real estate, that it must be done and done right from conception stage. Because the moment you do a wrong concept in a wrong location, one, there is fixity. You can't move that wrong to the right location anymore. So that is all about location. So it's of permanent thing. It must be guided and be done well at the beginning. Not using intuitions, not using heuristic approach. Talk to professionals so that the capital you are investing will perform effectively. Because the professional will be able to see. They are blind too. You see, I'd say when you do an analysis, when you do proper appraiser, I call it oracle. Because you will see what you cannot see.
That's correct. Yeah.
So talk to a professional so that location that's supposed to be an advantage will not turn out to be a disadvantage. Will not turn out to be the marketing factor for the asset you want to do.
Yeah.
Right? So that is about location.
Yeah.
Now, again, I talked about overpricing. Overpricing, ordinarily, this concerns practitioner more.
That's correct.
Practitioners should always guide investors.
Exactly.
Practitioners should always guide property owners and market participants. And market participants should listen to practitioners too. Because in every location, there is value threshold.
True.
Right? That's what we call unnecessary embellishment. If you like, do fantastic design, put column, put anything. All this will be an unnecessary embellishment. They will constitute some cost.
That's correct.
Cost that will not drive value. So it's important to do something that will be effective, that will drive value, that will bring return. And within what the value threshold in that location can support. The moment you go above that, either of two things will happen. Either that there will be the asset will suffer void. It will delay because there won't be anybody to pay for it.
That's correct.
The only thing you will be able to market and sell only as at the time when the value in that location catches up with what you are asking for.
Yeah.
Right? Well, the second one could be if you have money misroad. Yes, as I always say, blind buyer.
Exactly.
But most blind buyer always get to be aggrieved dealer at the end of the day.
That's correct.
By the time they realize that they have overpaid. And the situation will be worse where it is a case of tenancies.
That's correct.
You have let to him, he now realizes that he has overpaid. It will turn to be a recalcitrant tenant.
Very, very
so we must guide this. Okay? So, I don't know what time is now. If we can still run,
okay,
I want to take.
I think we're running out of time. Thank you so much. You shared so much on today's episode. Viewers, thank you very much for joining us for this episode of Real Estate Services and Transaction. Please remember to follow us on our social media platform. Until then, bye-bye from me.